This is GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers, that is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 106, entitled Scaring the Fluffies/Feminists. Description. This flyer claims that the time is ripe for masculists/MGTOWs to get out into the streets, high schools, campuses, media, etc., to preach MGTOW/masculist ideas to change women's attitudes so that men can benefit from these changes, particularly when women have the moral expectation to be FIPs and not parasite on a man, and have women put moral pressure, along with men, on the gender politicians to menfair the gender laws that today are so biased against men, especially in the divorce courts. The flyer itself. Scaring the Fluffies/Feminists. The time is ripe for men, parentheses, actually MGTOW/masculists, to begin a major campaign to educate women into MGTOW/masculist ideas so that men can benefit from the changes this education will generate in women. Today's young women have now almost universally absorbed feminist ideas. That is, that as a woman she can do almost anything she wants, and that gives women tremendous feelings of confidence, even arrogance. Unfortunately, feminism is not masculism, so most women, most feminists, know almost nothing about masculism and the basic ideas of MGTOW. As a result, women want the best of both worlds. That is, they want the opportunities to play a role in the big outside world, and they want to keep the parasitic attitude of fluffies, expecting men to be their manslaves, paying for them to live in a middle-class house so that she can raise her kids in it, and have him also pay for the kids and her. That is many women's ideal. But for men, it's manslavery, immoral and parasitic. Traditional women, including most feminists, who expect to be able to parasite off a man's money are called fluffies by masculists, men's livers. That is based obviously on the word fluff, that is light, not serious, not adult, not responsible, not career competent, not FIP, financially independent person. Fluffies are the enemy of the masculists. So many of men's gender issues would be solved if all women became FIPs. So masculists put enormous moral pressure on fluffies and women in general to be FIPs. The primary political goal of the masculists is to wipe out fluffydom. That is, to wipe out fluffies, not by killing them, but simply refusing to have relationships with them, forcing them to rot on the shelf to extinction. Masculists, being a lot more politically oriented than MGTOWs, who limit their political actions to making YouTube videos, which is a necessary step, but not sufficient, feel that too many men feel overwhelmed by feminist rhetoric. These men have no counter-ideology that they can use to hit back at the excesses of feminism, of which there are way too many. Masculists feel that the time is ripe to teach men MGTOW/masculist ideas so that men can be intellectually, ideologically armed to lash back at feminist excesses, particularly in regard to the fluffy feminist takeover of the divorce courts that now routinely financially massacre roughly one married father in 4 by forcing him to lose his kids, his house, forced to pay child support and alimony to his fluffy ex-wife so that she can continue to parasite off him after the divorce the way she did before the divorce. Masculists/MGTOWs now need to go out into society and educate both men and women about their ideas, particularly to women, to fluffies/feminists, that their behaviour and attitudes are now really starting to cost them dearly as more and more men go MGTOW/masculist. In the US and Japan today, 70% of young men under 35 refuse to marry and have kids, spending their money on themselves. They are fed up with fluffies and want nothing to do with them. MGTOW/masculists despise fluffies and fluffy feminists, especially fluffy feminists who want the best of both worlds. Thanks to this men's strike against marriage and paternity, most young women in Western countries, in capital letters, will not have a baby. If they do have one, then they'll have to pay for it themselves, and to be able to do that, they will have to be FIPs, otherwise they'll be poor, and so their kid will also be poor. Not only will women not have a baby, they'll be increasingly shunned. if they are fluffies or fluffy feminists, by a society that is increasingly becoming sympathetic to men's plight. The fluffy feminists have made divorce and hence marriage toxic. So it's not surprising that most young men come to the rational decision that marriage is to be avoided. So too with fatherhood, because thanks to the fluffy feminist-dominated divorce courts, the risk of being financially massacred is way too high to be acceptable. So men refuse to have relationships with fluffies, and especially refuse to have anything to do with fluffy feminists, who are the most despised. MGTOW/masculists really need to scare women into changing their attitudes so that women feel a powerful moral obligation to be FIPs. Otherwise, they'll be heavily punished. They will not get a man. They will then live a manless, loveless, sexless, babyless, poor existence and be spat on by men and shunned by society at large for being what they are, namely immoral parasites, expecting men to work for them so that they can sit on their fat parasitic asses and have a manslave or earn all the money for the family. Parasite feminists, interesting Freudian slip, need to have their insufferable arrogance smashed. Too many not so bright feminists feel they have the right to trash men simply because they're men. Increasingly, however, feminists are coming across masculists/MGTOWs who are capable and informed enough of MGTOW/masculist ideas to be able to blow these arrogant feminists away with MGTOW/masculist rhetoric and venom, who can express their utter contempt for these fluffy feminist hypocrites who want equal rights but don't accept equal obligations. That is, they still expect to be fluffies, that is, having some manslave earn the family's money. These feminists need to be scared shitless more frequently by masculists/MGTOWs who threaten them if they stay the way they are, then they'll be manless. In fact, fluffy feminists are the first category of female to be rejected by MGTOW/masculists. Such men won't even fuck such women, punishing them for being what they are, preferring the company of FIPs. It's a way of punishing fluffy feminist hypocrites. Young women at universities and high schools need to be scared by masculist/MGTOW speakers who come to their school/campus and spell out MGTOW/masculist ideas so that women realize that if they don't become FIPs, they will not have a baby. Be FIP or be manless. No calculus, no baby. The MGTOW/masculist ideas are well developed now. It's time to take them to the street and spread them throughout society so that women get scared, change their fluffydom into FIPdom, change their attitudes towards men, and help put political pressure on the gender politicians to menfair the gender laws. For example, menfair the divorce laws, bring in the paternity rejection right, etc. The MGTOW/masculists will continue to boycott marriage and fatherhood, thus crashing the population, until the gender politicians menfair the gender laws. With so many women not having babies, they will panic and put enormous pressure on the gender politicians as well, because these women will increasingly be conscious that the fluffy feminist takeover of the divorce courts has cost them the possibility of being mothers. They will see that the fluffy feminists have not just shot themselves in the foot, they have shot off their whole legs. So MGTOW/masculists, get out there and preach MGTOW/masculist ideas in the high schools, on campuses, in the media, to your friends, your work colleagues. Spit in the face of fluffy feminists, expressing your anger and hatred of what they've done to men and indirectly to women. Indirectly, they are wiping out the whole population by having made marriage and divorce so toxic that men have gone on strike against fatherhood. Educate society so that it's well versed in MGTOW/masculist ideas as it is today with feminist ideas. Get out there and harangue! Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name de GARIS Masculist MGTOW Flyers. Ciao.